Do you have any kind of strategies, Jeff, that you've seen that work well? Any materials that work well to overmold some of those very delicate electronics that we're seeing in a lot of wearable devices?
Yeah, great question, Craig. And I think as we've continued to get involved with that, we're often looked at low pressure molding, our parts coming from the low pressure molding world. And the question is asked, can we use thermoplastics to overmold and still get some of the same results or even improve stiffness and improve permeability with thermoplastics that we couldn't get from low pressure molding? And then on the cost standpoint, thermoplastics, the process to do that is so much faster as well. So the piece part price should be less as a result of that. But yeah, they're PCBAs and the components on them, whether it be like oscillators or standard resistors, capacitors, and even batteries, really all have to be taken into account. And strategies goes back to the gating strategy for filling out features and where flash is at. A lot of times you want to keep that flow front as cool as possible and as low pressure as possible when it does reach those components. So how we adjust a gate or gates to overmold like a PCBA or any type of electronic component is so critical. The interesting thing is with low pressure molding, the melt temps of those are very similar to, say, like a polypropylene. So temperature isn't necessarily the difference there, but pressure is. So on low pressure molding, you're often looking at, say, 50 to 200 PSI. With easy flowing thermoplastics such as polypropylene, depending on the features, we could be, say, 100 to 1,000 PSI. And that's where AccuMold can come in and help design those features so it doesn't take so much pressure to fill out those features and cause damage to the PCBA or whatever insert is in there. If those pressures need to be high, then there's a lot of strategies on how to support those features, not only from the pressure when the pressure builds inside the mold, but also that if you consider that flow front coming across, that plastic flowing across all these components on a board, just I envision it like a sandstorm coming over a city. It's just barreling over the top of it, and how you treat those components and keep them safe from that flow front. But the beauty of overmolding with thermoplastics is, especially plastics like polypropylene that are easily to flow, they're super with moisture barrier, is that once it's overmolded, you're done. And there's no need for another shot. Say if you're using a softer material like an LPM, a lot of times you'll do a second shot over the top of it to stiffen it up to make it handleable or able to be used by users in a rugged environment. If we can do it in one shot, that's ideal, and thermoplastics can enable that.
That's great, Jeff. Yeah, appreciate all that insight, and that's all fantastic.